Carey and Emerald, where do I start? Like, wow. Emerald, you've described this film as a very, very darkly comic fairy tale, and that you wanted it to be kind of a horrible and beautiful experience. I could never have put it in those words, but you've summed it up beautifully. Tell me why.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I think all the films I love have this sort of like ambiguity and this sort of often there's a kind of razor's edge between sort of the horror and the comedy. And when I think of like To Die For, Fargo, American Psycho, these movies where you're just edging up against something really frightening. And I think Promising Young Woman is about a woman's life, but it's also about women's lives, I think, and men's lives. And I've always felt that, that life is a kind of beautiful, funny, romantic, sexy experience. But underneath it all is a sort of roiling, bubbling, boiling terror about all sorts of things. And this is just one of those specific horrors, I think.
Carey, you've said that making this film has truly been the greatest joy of all time. Why?
Did I say that? It's true.
Carey.
No, I just meant I thought you were going to say of my career, and I would say yeah, like it really was, and it was so brief, and that's the saddest thing of all. But it really was. I've always kind of lent towards drama and loved it, and certainly there are dramatic elements to this, but there was just also so much fun, and I think also being a part of something where everyone around you, the crew, all the heads of department, the ADs, all the actors are in it because they have so much faith in the project. I think it's rare, So it led to a really extraordinary experience, and I've just never had. It's really hard to say nice things about Emerald and her here, but I've had amazing experiences as directors, but Emerald and I from the beginning just had I feel like I'm on Love Is Blind. We had a connection.
I will marry you.
I will marry you. We had it, really kind of, and we and the whole thing was just so collaborative and beautiful. And Emerald was so good at when I would hold back, she would push me to sort of test myself and do more and never feel silly. It was just honestly I just love working with Emerald so much, and I just want to I want to do everything she ever does, and she knows this, and so does her agent. And that's
But do you know what? I can totally understand, because right now I just feel like I could gush so much at both of you, and there's so much I want to talk about. But something I want to touch on is this film was so jarring. Like, you'd sit there and you go, I know where this is going, and then you go, no, I don't know where it's going. Then I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling sad, and then the music. Like, I am a massive pop fan. And women are made to feel, and whoever likes pop music, are made to feel like it's not important. That's trashy stuff, but it can be so impactful in someone's life. And the fact that you used Paris Hilton and Britney Spears' Toxic and made it so powerful, where does that come from?
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I think it is powerful. I completely agree with you. I think our society is very, very clever at undermining things that women like, and particularly young women and young men, pop music is one of the main things in my whole life. I wrote this movie listening to those songs. I made a playlist that I sent Carey, to try and kind of persuade her to be in my film that was full of these songs. I think, again, but it's the same as Cassie's manicure. It's the same as her clothes. Just because you like certain things doesn't make you silly. And I think that's a really important thing. And just because a film is about something difficult, complicated, strange, with a difficult, complicated, strange protagonist, doesn't mean it needs to look a certain way, and the music was the beginning and end of this film for me in a funny way. We had to use these songs that we're familiar with, that we love, that we bring our own stuff to. It was making the soundtrack. I mean, they're just doing it. It's just about to come out now, and it still
can't wait.
Blows my mind that it exists.
As I was saying before I walked in here, there are so many conversations happening around this film. In junket rooms, it's usually quiet. Everyone's got their heads down or in their phones. How are you feeling about all the conversations that are happening out there, and what do you hope will come of this?
Sorry, I was but when you were speaking earlier, so articulate, I kind of got lost in. I don't know. I suppose it's what you want, isn't it? You want people to be, your worst case scenario is someone watching a film and then going to dinner and talking about anything else. You want people to be having those conversations, and I think it's exciting to think that the film has a life beyond the 90 minutes that people sit in the cinema, and that it could make people think in the way that it made me think when I read it and being part of it. So it's exciting, and it's also like a little bit. It's a bit exposing and a bit sort of, but I think that's a good thing. I think you have to sort of expose in life to you have to be sort of brave. And I think Emerald's the most brave.
Well, and I just thank you. But I mean, I disagree. I think, honestly, what I really wanted to do more than anything is make a really enjoyable film. A film that everyone will want to go and see, that was thrilling and exciting and funny and dark. The films of the last few years that I've been obsessed with, like Get Out, Parasite, these are horror movies about very specific political things in our lives. And they started a conversation, I think, between all of us about the way we live now, the way we speak to people. They just cracked so much open. But at the root of it, the thing that, I really do hope about Promising Young Woman is that it is something that is accessible, that as a movie people will want to go and watch on a date and talk about. And, there are no answers in this film. People will come to their own conclusions about it. That's what's fun, I think, about it, and important. And so, as hard as it is, I think all of us are just saying, here it is. And whatever people will feel strongly about it either way, and that's okay. That's good.
Well, thank you so much for this, and I hope you guys are looking after yourselves as well, because this is tough to put yourselves through this. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very, very much. That's really kind.